You have felt it before. The moment you walk into a room and something shifts. No one says it. No one announces it. Yet your body knows. A pause in the air. A glance that lingers. A smile that does not reach the eyes. You cannot explain it, but you sense it. That instinct is not random. It is awareness waiting to be trained. Now imagine if that instinct became precise. Not vague. Not emotional. Precise. Accurate. Reliable. Imagine walking into any space and understanding the emotional climate within seconds. Imagine reading hesitation before the words come, seeing confidence before it speaks, understanding motives without being told. Feel what that would mean for you. No more confusion, no more second guessing, no more wondering what just happened after it happened. This is the moment everything changes for you. Because when you can read people instantly, you stop reacting and start leading. You stop guessing and start knowing. You stop being surprised and start being prepared. Stand still. Breathe. Leadership is not volume. It is perception. It is the quiet ability to see what others overlook. Most people rush into conversations trying to be heard. You will learn to listen beyond sound. Most people focus on words. You will focus on signal. Most people respond emotionally. You will respond strategically. Feel the difference. Calm enters you first, then clarity. When you understand human behavior, you understand leverage, you understand timing, you understand influence, not to control others, but to guide outcomes with awareness. Look around you in your mind. Think of the last conversation that confused you, the meeting that shifted unexpectedly, the agreement that dissolved without warning, the tension that appeared from nowhere. It was not nowhere. There were signs. You are about to learn how to see them. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. You will notice the tightening jaw before resistance forms, the slight lean back before disengagement, the change in breathing before doubt surfaces. Small signal, powerful meaning. You will move through rooms differently. Slower, sharper, certain. There is strength in the stillness. There is authority in observation. And there is power in restraint. You do not need to speak first. You do not need to dominate space. You need to understand it. That is leadership. You are not becoming manipulative. You are becoming aware. You are not learning tricks. You are sharpening perception. You are not changing who you are. You are expanding what you see. Stand steady. Let this sink in. By the end of this journey, you will see what others miss. You will notice what others ignore. You will understand what others misunderstand. Your presence will shift. Your confidence will deepen. Your decisions will sharpen, because clarity removes fear, and awareness creates control. And once you see clearly, you cannot go back. Chapter 1: The Power of Perception. Awareness is your first leadership advantage. Before strategy, before skill, before authority, there is perception. The ability to see clearly. The discipline to notice what others ignore. The patience to observe before acting. This is where leadership truly begins. Reading people is not magic. It is not luck. It is not a mysterious talent reserved for a few. It is observation trained with intention. It is attention sharpened through discipline. It is emotional control strengthened by choice. You already possess the raw instinct. You have felt tension without words. You have sensed confidence without proof. You have walked into rooms and known something was different. That instinct is your starting point. Now you refine it. Picture an eagle high above a battlefield. It does not panic, it does not rush. It does not dive without reason. It circles, calm, silent, precise. From above, it sees movement others cannot see. Patterns form. Weakness reveals itself. Opportunity becomes obvious. That is perception. You are learning to rise above the emotional noise of the moment. To see from distance. To notice patterns instead of reacting to single events. Old you reacted emotionally. Old you responded immediately. Old you filled silence with words. Old you tried to fix, explain, defend. New you observes quietly. Feel the difference. When someone interrupts you, old you felt disrespected. New you notices the interruption pattern. Is it insecurity? Is it urgency? Is it dominance? Observation replaces reaction. When someone avoids eye contact, old you assumed something personal. New you studies context. Is it discomfort? Is it distraction? Is it calculation? Awareness replaces assumption. This shift is small at first, but powerful. Observe, slow down, look again. Those 3 commands will change your leadership forever. Observe without judgment. Slow down your breathing. Look again before forming conclusions. Most people live inside their reactions. They move quickly, they speak quickly, they decide quickly. They rarely pause long enough to truly see. You will be different. Calm enters first. You walk into a conversation and you feel the urge to speak. Pause. Notice posture. Notice tone. Notice energy shifts between people. Let the room reveal itself. Tension builds because you are breaking an old habit. The habit of immediate response. The habit of emotional defense. The habit of feeling silent. Stay steady. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming powerful. Perception requires emotional strength. When you feel triggered, you want to respond. When you feel challenged, you want to assert. When you feel uncertain, you want to speak more. But leadership begins with control. Control of your pace. Control of your tone. Control of your attention. Look at your old self clearly. That version of you moved fast because fast felt strong. Fast felt confident. Fast felt decisive. But often, fast was reactive. Now you rise above the battlefield. You see patterns. You notice who leans forward when certain topics arise. You notice who withdraws when responsibility is mentioned. You notice subtle alliances in group setting. You notice discomfort before disagreement becomes verbal. These are not random details. They are data. And data creates leverage. Slow down. Observe. Look again. When you train yourself to see, you remove surprise. And when surprise disappears, fear loses its power. Imagine entering every conversation prepared, not because you rehearsed every sentence, but because you trust your awareness. You know you will notice shifts. You know you will detect hesitation. You know you will sense resistance before it becomes opposition. This is leadership at its foundation. Awareness creates clarity. Clarity creates control. Control creates confidence. Confidence creates influence. The chain begins with perception. You are not scanning people to judge them. You are observing to understand them. You are not trying to dominate. You are seeking alignment. You are not manipulating behavior. You are studying patterns. Feel the calm strength in that. There is silence in perception, a quiet intensity, a grounded presence. When you walk into a room now, imagine yourself rising above it mentally. See from above. Who is speaking the most? Who is listening? Who commands attention without effort? Who looks to others before answering? These small signals speak loudly. Stay composed. Do not rush to conclusions. Patterns matter more than moments. One gesture means little. Repetition reveals truth. Look again. Observe the rhythm of speech. Does it accelerate under pressure? Does it slow when uncertain? Notice breathing. Notice posture shifts. Notice changes in facial tension. Your mind becomes sharper each time. You choose awareness over reaction. There will be moments when tension rises inside you, when you want to defend, when you want to interrupt, when you want to correct. Breathe, hold steady, observe. This is where perception becomes strength. In the middle of emotional heat, you remain elevated, calm, watching, gathering information. Old you would have reacted. New you reads. That difference changes everything, because when you read correctly, you respond strategically, and strategic responses build authority. Authority is not loud. Authority is accurate. You do not need to overpower the room. You need to understand it. Imagine a negotiation. Words move back and forth. Positions seem firm, but you notice something subtle. A slight hesitation when a specific topic appears. A repeated glance toward a colleague. A small change in tone. That is your entry point. You respond calmly. You adjust your approach. You ask a precise question. The room shifts. You saw what others missed. This is not luck. This is trained perception. Every day you strengthen it. In conversations with friends, in meetings, in casual interactions. You practice observing without announcing your observation. You gather insight quietly. There is power in silence. There is advantage in patience. There is influence in awareness. Perception creates control because control begins internally. When you are aware of your own reactions, you choose them instead of being driven by them. When you are aware of others' signals, you anticipate instead of being surprised. This is your edge. Stand still internally, even when movement surrounds you. Observe, slow down, Look again. Let these commands echo in your mind during every interaction. You are training yourself to rise above emotional turbulence, to see patterns instead of isolated moments, to gather information before deciding. Imagine who you become as this skill strengthens. You enter conversations grounded. You speak less but say more. You ask sharper questions. You adjust faster. You remain calm under pressure because you understand what is happening beneath the surface. Others may not know why you seem composed. They may not understand why your timing feels precise. They may not realize you noticed the signals before they did. That is your quiet advantage. You are becoming the person who sees clearly. You are becoming the leader who understands before acting. You are becoming the calm presence in chaotic moments. Feel that identity forming. It begins here, with perception, with awareness, with discipline. Pause for a moment. Say it internally. I see clearly. Again, I see clearly. Let that affirmation settle into you. Awareness is your first leadership advantage. It is the foundation upon which every other skill will stand. Without it, decisions are guessed. With it, decisions are informed. And as you continue forward, this awareness will deepen. It will sharpen. It will integrate into your instinct. You are rising above the battlefield. Calm, silent, precise. And this is only the beginning. Chapter 2. The language beyond words. The body speaks first. Before words form, before explanations arrive, before logic organizes itself into sentences, the body moves, the body tightens, the body reveals truth. You are about to learn a new language, a silent one, a precise one, a language that does not lie easily. Micro-expressions, posture, eye movement, breath shifts. These are not random movements. They are signals. They are data. They are messages spoken without permission. Calm yourself. This is not about suspicion. It is about awareness. Imagine a meeting room, clean table, neutral faces, polite greetings. A proposal rests between colleagues. On the surface, everything appears stable. But watch closely. One person's smile appears a fraction of a second too late. Another leans back when agreement is mentioned. A third folds their hands tightly beneath the table. Nothing has been said yet, and already tension exists. This is where your training begins. Old you would have waited for words. Old you would have trusted the surface. Old you would have reacted only when disagreement became loud. New you notices before the sound. Watch the hands. Hands reveal control. When they grip tightly, tension is present. When they hide, discomfort often hides with them. When they move excessively, emotion seeks release. Watch the eyes. Eyes shift when thought changes. They narrow when evaluate. They widen in surprise. They glance away when internal conflict begins. Not always from dishonesty. Sometimes from uncertainty. Sometimes from fear of confrontation. Notice the silence. Silence is rarely empty. It is filled with processing, with resistance, with hesitation, with calculation. Stay calm. In that meeting, the proposal is presented. The words are confident. The tone is steady. But you notice something subtle. A brief tightening of the jaw from one colleague. A glance exchanged between two others. A breath drawn sharply before a nod. There it is. The body spoke. Conflict has not yet arrived, but it is forming. Tension builds inside you because this is new awareness. You feel the urge to speak quickly, to push forward, to fill the space with reassurance. Pause. Watch the hands. Watch the eyes. Notice the silence. Old you would have reacted emotionally to the first sign of resistance. Old you might have interpreted the glance as rejection. Old you might have felt defensive. New you studies patterns. Is the jaw tightening repeated when risk is mentioned? Does the breath shift every time responsibility is discussed? Does the posture change only when financial impact appears? Patterns matter more than moments. The body leaks truth in fragments. Micro-expressions flash across the face in less than a second. A flicker of doubt, a spark of irritation, a brief lift of the eyebrows signaling disbelief. Most people miss these signals because they are rushing toward their next sentence. You will not rush. You will observe. Imagine slowing your internal clock during interactions. While others move quickly, you remain steady. While others speak, you gather information. That is power. The proposal continues. Words sound agreeable, but the person across the table begins tapping their fingers lightly. The rhythm increases when timelines are discussed. Their shoulders tighten when accountability is assigned. The body is speaking, and you are listening. Feel the shift inside you. Instead of guessing, you are decoding. Instead of reacting, you are analyzing. Instead of being surprised later, you are prepared now. Old you would have celebrated premature agreement. Old you would have walked away confused when the deal fell apart later. New you sees discomfort before it becomes resistant. This is not manipulation. It is clarity. Watch the hands. Hands reveal emotional pressure. They fidget under stress. They clench under threat. They open when relaxed. Watch the eyes. Eyes avoid when overwhelmed. They lock in when confident. They dart when uncertain. They soften when aligned. Notice the silence. Silence after a key statement often reveals truth. The pause before agreement. The delay before objection. The breath before disagreement. Stay composed. You do not accuse. You do not confront. Aggressively, you adjust. In that meeting, instead of pushing forward, you slow down. You ask a precise question. You address the unspoken concern gently. You give space for hesitation to become voiced. The room shifts because you saw what others ignored. You versus your old self intensifies. Old you wanted approval. New you seeks alignment. Old you feared discomfort. New you studies it. Old you filled silence. New you leverages. The body speaks first. Words follow later. If you train yourself to read the first language, the second becomes predictable. Imagine never missing discomfort again. Imagine sensing hesitation before commitment. Imagine recognizing deception not through accusation, but through inconsistency between body and voice. When someone says yes but leans away, you notice. When someone claims confidence but avoids eye contact during specifics, you register it. When someone expresses agreement but exhales sharply afterward, you observe it. These are signals, and you are becoming fluent. The tension in you transforms into control. You feel less anxious because you understand more. You feel less reactive because you see patterns earlier. You feel less confused because clarity replaces assumption. Stay steady. You are building a new instinct. When conflict finally surfaces in that meeting, you are not surprised. You anticipated it. You prepared for it. You respond calmly because you saw it forming long before the words appeared. That is leadership. Leadership is not reacting to chaos. It is recognizing the signs before chaos erupts. Micro-expressions, posture, eye movement, breath shift. Repeat them in your mind. Micro-expressions reveal emotion. Posture reveals confidence or defense. Eye movement reveals processing. Breath reveals internal state. These are your tools. Practice daily, in small conversations, in casual exchanges, in quiet interactions. Notice how posture shifts when topics change. Notice how breathing alters when pressure increases. Notice how eyes brighten when passion appears. The more you observe, the more natural it becomes. You do not need to stare. You do not need to intimidate. You simply remain present. Presence sharpens perception. Perception strengthens influence. Influence builds leadership. Feel yourself rising again, above the noise, above the surface, above the words. Calm, focused, precise. There will be moments when someone attempts to hide discomfort, when someone masks insecurity with volume, when someone cloaks uncertainty with overconfidence. You will see beyond it, not to judge, but to understand. Understanding creates leverage without force. Pause now. Say it internally. I notice what others miss. Again, I notice what others miss. Let it settle into your identity, because this is no longer theory. This is training. You are no longer listening only to words. You are reading mood. You are studying silence. You are decoding subtle shifts. And as this skill strengthens, your confidence deepens. Imagine entering high-pressure conversations knowing you will detect hesitation early. Imagine leading discussions where hidden resistance surfaces calmly because you saw it forming. Imagine navigating relationships with awareness that prevents misunderstandings before they grow. You will not be caught off guard easily again. You will not be misled by surface confidence. You will not ignore subtle warning. The body speaks first, and now so do you. Quietly, internally, with awareness, the language beyond words is becoming clear. And as you move forward, your perception will sharpen even further. revealing emotional currents that most people never learn to see. Chapter 3. Emotional energy and hidden signal. Emotions leak before they explode. They do not appear suddenly. They build. They gather weight. They rise beneath the surface long before they break into words or actions. Imagine a lake at dawn. The surface looks smooth, calm, untouched, but beneath it pressure moves, currents shift, energy builds in silence. Human emotion works the same way. You must learn to sense the pressure before the wave. This is emotional pattern recognition. Not guessing, not assuming, recognizing. Fear has a pattern. Pride has a pattern. Insecurity has a pattern. Ambition has a pattern. Each emotion leaves traces before it becomes visible. Most people wait for the explosion, the raised voice, the confrontation, the withdrawal. By then, influence is limited. Control is reactive. You are training yourself to detect the shift before the explosion. Feel the shift. Trust your perception. Stay steady. Fear often appears as tightening, subtle, quiet, a slight pullback, a shorter response, a change in breathing, eyes scanning for reassurance, shoulders lifting defensively. Fear rarely announces itself boldly. It hides first. It calculates risk. It protects. When you sense it early, you respond with clarity instead of pressure. You adjust your tone. You slow your pace. You reduce intensity. Why you lead without forcing. That is awareness. Pride has its own rhythm. Chin lifts slightly. Voice grows firmer. Words become more certain. Posture straightens. There is expansion in the chest. Pride wants recognition. It wants validation. It wants position. If challenged aggressively, pride defends. If respected, pride aligned. Notice the difference. Insecurity often disguises itself as overconfidence. Volume increases. Speech accelerates. Explanations lengthen. The person fills space to avoid silence. Hands move quickly. Laughter appears at strange moments. Old you might have felt intimidated by that energy. New you recognizes it. You see the pressure beneath the calm surface. Ambition is different. Ambition leans forward. It listens carefully. It asks focused questions. Eyes sharpen. Energy increases when opportunity appears. There is intensity without chaos. When you recognize ambition in someone, you speak to growth. You speak to possibility. You align with forward movement. Emotional energy always precedes emotional expression. You must become sensitive to the shift. Picture another scenario. A team discussion begins smoothly. Everyone nods. Agreement seems strong. Yet you notice one person growing quieter. Their shoulders stiffen when responsibility is assigned. Their breathing becomes shallow. Their eyes move down. The pressure is building. Nothing has been said, but something is forming. Feel the shift. Trust your perception. Stay steady. Old you would have ignored it. Old you would have continued forward, surprised later when resistance appeared. Old you might have reacted defensively once the objection surfaced. New you addresses it early. You pause. You ask a calm question. You invite perspective before frustration grows. You release pressure before it becomes conflict. That is control. Pressure building beneath a calm surface. That image must remain with you. Whenever emotion feels stable, look deeper. Stability can be real, or it can be tension waiting. This awareness creates tension inside you at first, because now you see more, you notice more. You realize how often emotion is present even when silence dominates. Stay focused. Don't rush. See deeper. This is your first transformation moment. You are no longer blind to emotional undercurrents. You are no longer reacting only to visible conflict. You are sensing internal pressure before it becomes external force. Rapid lines. Stay focused. Don't rush. See deeper. Let them echo in your mind. Fear, pride, insecurity, ambition. Learn their rhythms. Fear tightens. Pride expands. Insecurity overcompensates. Ambition sharpens. Patterns repeat across environments, across industries, across cultures. Human emotion shares common structure. When you detect fear, you create safety without surrendering authority. When you detect pride, you respect strength while guiding direction. When you detect insecurity, you reduce threat and increase clarity. When you detect ambition, you channel energy productively. This is leadership through emotional intelligence, but it requires steadiness. If you become emotionally entangled in every signal, you lose clarity. Your role is not to absorb others' emotions. Your role is to stay steady. That steadiness builds internal strength. Imagine entering conversations aware that emotional energy is already present before words begin. You scan for shifts. You observe breathing. You measure tone. You feel subtle changes in posture. You do not panic when tension rises. You expect it. You prepare for it. Pressure beneath a calm surface. You begin to sense it instinctively. There will be moments when someone smiles while irritation flickers in their eyes. When someone nods while their jaw tightens. When someone agrees while their foot taps faster beneath the table. Those are leaks. Not accusations. Not judgments, leaks. Emotions leak before they explode. You train yourself to see the leak early. Feel the shift. Trust your perception. Stay steady. You versus your old self intensifies. Old you doubted your instinct. Old you dismissed subtle signal. Old you second-guessed yourself after the moment passed. New you respects internal awareness. New you validates perception through pattern recognition. New you acts calmly before conflict escalates. This is growth. You are becoming the person who understands the room. Say that internally. You are becoming the person who understands the room. That identity matters. Because once you see yourself as someone who understands emotional energy, you behave differently. You move differently. You speak differently. You do not rush into heated discussions. You do not escalate unnecessary tension. You do not ignore subtle discomfort. Instead, you manage it. You guide it. You shape it. Another scene. A negotiation grows intense. Voices remain polite. Words remain professional. Yet breathing accelerates slightly. Shoulders tight. Hands press firmly against the table. Pressure. You feel it building. Old you might have pushed harder, mistaking silence for agreement. New you adjusts pace. You slow the conversation. You reframe a point. You allow tension to settle. The wave never crashes because you saw it forming. This is your first minor transformation peak. You are no longer surprised by emotional eruptions. You detect emotional pressure early. You are no longer overwhelmed by strong personality. You decode them. Stay focused. Don't rush. See deeper. Repeat it. Stay focused. Don't rush. See deeper. The rhythm strengthens your discipline. Emotional awareness is not softness. It is strength under control. It is power. Are guided by perception. When others react impulsively, you remain measured. When others escalate, you stabilize. When others miss the signal, you respond before it becomes noise. That is influence. Influence rooted in understanding. Imagine your future self walking into high-pressure rooms, complex negotiations, critical decisions, sensitive conversations. Emotional stakes are high, but you are calm because you understand emotional energy. You sense fear early and address it constructively. You recognize pride and respect it without losing direction. You identify insecurity and reduce threat. You channel ambition toward shared goals. You become the steady presence others rely on. You are becoming the person who understands the room. This identity continues to build. Feel it solidifying. Pressure will always exist beneath calm surfaces. Emotion will always move beneath polite language, but you will not be blindsided. You will sense the shift. You will trust your perception. You will stay steady. And as you move forward, your awareness will deepen further, revealing layers of motivation that shape behavior long before emotion ever surfaces. Chapter 4. The Psychology of First Impressions. First seconds reveal long-term pattern. Before introductions finish, before credentials are exchanged, before intentions are explained, the brain has already gathered information. Rapid, silent, efficient. This is not superstition. It is pattern recognition at speed. Thin slicing, the ability to draw accurate conclusions from very small amounts of data. A fraction of a second, a glance, a shift in posture, a tone on the first word. Most people distrust their first impression because they confuse instinct with prejudice. But instinct, when trained, is data processing. It is your mind scanning posture, pace, eye movement, confidence signals, and emotional tone faster than conscious thought can follow. The mistake is not having first impressions. The mistake is failing to train them. Imagine darkness, then lightning. For a split second, the landscape is illuminated. You see the shape of trees, the outline of hills, the direction of the path. Then darkness returns. That flash matters. First impressions are lightning flashes in darkness. They do not reveal everything, but they reveal structure. The way someone enters a room, the way they hold eye contact, the speed of their steps, the tone of their greeting. These signals often remain consistent over time. Stand tall. Be aware. Control your own signal. Before you focus on reading others, you must recognize that you are also being read. Every room you enter forms an impression before you speak. Old you tried to impress. Old you walked in thinking about what to say. Old you focused on sounding intelligent. Old you rushed to demonstrate value. New you reads first. New you observes the energy of the room. Who holds authority, who seeks attention, who withdraws, who leads silently. New you adjusts before speaking. Feel the shift. Thin slicing psychology explains that our minds make rapid assessments using minimal information. We detect confidence through posture. We sense competence through tone stability. We evaluate warmth through facial expression. These are not random guesses. They are pattern matches built from experience. But you must refine them. Lightning flashes in darkness. When someone enters a room, notice their pace. Fast and sharp often signals urgency or anxiety. Slow and grounded often signals confidence or calculation. Hesitant steps can reveal uncertainty. Notice the handshake if present. Too tight may signal dominance or insecurity. Too weak may signal caution or lack of confidence. Balanced pressure often reflects stability. Notice the eyes. Do they hold contact comfortably? Do they scan rapidly? Do they avoid connection during introduction? These details matter, not to judge, but to understand. Old you may have ignored the flash. Old you waited for proof. Old you dismissed early signals as imagination. New you records them mentally. You do not finalize judgment immediately. You test the data over time, but you respect the flash. Stand tall. Be aware. Control your own signal, because while you are reading others, they are forming impressions of you. Your posture speaks before your voice. Your breathing reveals calm or tension. Your facial expression signals openness or guardedness. If you enter with scattered energy, the room feels it. If you enter grounded and aware, the room feels that too. Imagine walking into a high-stakes meeting. The door opens, heads turn. Before you speak, the first impression forms. Do you rush to fill the silence? Or do you pause, breathe, scan? New you pauses. New you reads. You notice who watches you carefully. You notice who barely looks up. You notice who seems skeptical, who seems curious, who seems indifferent. Lightning flashes. Data collected. You sit down calmly. You adjust your pace to the room's rhythm. You control your bria. You project steadiness. This is influence before language. Most people speak first and observe second. You observe first, then speak. Thin slicing is powerful because it captures authentic behavior before people adjust. Once conversation begins, masks form, roles solidify, guarded responses appear, but the first seconds are raw. A flash of irritation before composure returns. A flicker of insecurity before confidence is performed. A brief smile that reveals genuine warmth before professionalism sets in. See it, store it, compare it with later behavior. Patterns emerge. First impressions often reveal default setting, how someone naturally carries themselves before they consciously adjust. Old you tried to be impressive. Old you focused on projecting strength. New you understands that strength is not projected. It is embodied. You enter prepared. Say it internally. I enter prepared. Prepared not with rehearsed lines. Prepared with awareness. Prepared with perception. Prepared with control. Stand tall. Your body must communicate stability before your words communicate idea. Be aware. Scan without staring. Observe without appearing distracted. Stay present. Control your own signal. Your shoulders relaxed. Your spine upright. Your breathing steady. Your gaze direct but not aggressive. These micro-adjustments shape how you are perceived. And perception shapes influence. Imagine commanding respect before speaking. Imagine people leaning slightly forward because your presence signals clarity. Imagine conversations adjusting subtly to your calm pace. Imagine tension lowering when you enter because you project steadiness. This is possible because first impressions are not random. They are constructed. Lightning flashes. In those flashes, others see, and you see them. You versus your old self deepens here. Old you chased approval in the first second. New you seeks information. Old you worried about being liked. New you focuses on alignment and clarity. Old you reacted to energy in the room emotionally. New you interprets it strategically. In the first seconds of interaction, ask internally, what is the emotional tone here? Who holds influence? Who seems guarded? Who seems open? What is the pace? You do not need immediate answers. You need awareness. Because awareness creates options. If the room feels tense, you slow down. If the room feels scattered, you ground it. If the room feels overly relaxed, you bring focus. Control your own signal. Your energy becomes an anchor. Lightning flashes reveal not only others, but yourself. If you feel rushed, slow your breathing. If you feel intimidated, straighten your posture. If you feel uncertain, pause before speaking. Your internal adjustment changes external perception. Thin slicing works both ways. Others read you instantly. You read them instantly. The difference is training. You are training. The first few seconds of any interaction set momentum. Momentum shapes conversation. Conversation shapes outcome. If you rush and uncertain, the conversation begins unstable. If you enter grounded, the conversation begins centered. This is leadership before language. Stand tall. Be aware. Control your own signal. Repeat it mentally. Stand tall. Be aware. Control your own signal. Let the rhythm reinforce your discipline. Imagine entering every new environment with calm scanning awareness. Airports, offices, boardrooms, social gatherings, you walk in. You pause internally. You observe. Lightning flashes. You gather data. You align your presence. You speak with timing, not urgency. You ask questions after observing reactions. You move with intention. People may not understand why your timing feels precise. They may not realize why your questions seem accurate. They may not notice that you sensed tension before they did. But you will know. You respected the flash. You trained your first impression. You enter prepared. Again, I enter prepared. Say it silently. I enter prepared. This affirmation anchors identity. You are becoming someone who understands that the first seconds matter, that the lightning flash in darkness is not illusion, it is information. And as your awareness sharpens, you will begin to see even deeper signals forming beneath those first flashes, signals that reveal motivation before it is spoken. Chapter 5. Understanding motivation instantly. Every behavior serves a need. No action appears without reason. No decision stands alone. Beneath every word, beneath every tone shift, beneath every agreement or resistance, there is a driving force. Power, security, recognition, belonging. These are not weakness. They are human currents. They move silently through conversations. They shape choices long before logic explains them. If you learn to identify the need beneath the behavior, you stop arguing with surface actions. You begin addressing root motivation. That is where influence lives. Imagine a negotiation. A long table, measured voices, formal language, two parties discussing terms that appear simple on paper. Numbers, deadlines, responsibility. On the surface, it is about cost, but it is never just about cost. You sit quietly at first. You observe the rhythm of responses. One individual pushes strongly for authority over final decision. Another focuses intensely on timeline. A third repeatedly mentions reputation. Nothing aggressive yet, nothing dramatic. Calm, but you feel movement beneath the calm. Every behavior serves a need. The person pushing for authority may not be chasing control for ego. They may be protecting security. If they control decisions, they reduce risk. If they reduce risk, they feel safe. The person emphasizing deadlines may not be impatient. They may be protecting recognition. Timely results reflect competence. Competence strengthens their standing. The one speaking about reputation may not be dramatic. They may be protecting belonging. Public perception affects their position within a group. Surface arguments hide deeper needs. Old you might have debated the numbers. New you studies the motivation. Ask internally, what do they want? What are they protecting? What are they afraid of? Let those questions become instinct. The negotiation continues. A proposal is rejected firmly. Words sound rigid. Tone sharpens slightly. Tension begins to build. Old you might interpret this as opposition. as stubbornness, as personal resistance. Pause. Ask internally, what do they want? Is it power? Is it recognition? Is it safety? Is it belonging? The person rejecting the proposal leans forward. Their jaw tightens slightly. They repeat concerns about risk exposure. Security. They are protecting security. You adjust. Instead of arguing the benefit, you address risk mitigation. You speak about safeguards. You outline fallback strategy. You provide structured control points. The energy shifts because you address the need, not the surface objection. Every behavior serves a need. Power often appears as dominance, interruptions, firm tone, direct language, but beneath power is often fear of losing influence or desire to shape direction. If you challenge power aggressively, resistance increases. If you acknowledge power and channel it productively, alignment grows. Security often appears as caution, repeated questions, slow decision-making, requesting details. Beneath it is fear of loss. Recognition appears as visible contribution, speaking up frequently, emphasizing achievements. Beneath it is the desire to be valued. Belonging appears as alignment with group consensus, avoiding open disagreement, seeking approval. Beneath it is the need to remain connected. When you recognize these patterns, conversations transform. Tension builds further in the negotiation. Deadlines approach. Voices tighten slightly. A compromise seems distant. This is where most people escalate. You do not. You look deeper. Ask internally, what are they protecting? What are they afraid of? The fear may not be financial. It may be reputational. It may be personal accountability. It may be internal pressure from unseen stakeholder. You ask a calm question. What outcome would make this feel secure for you? Silence, a pause, then clarity emerges. Because you address the need beneath the demand. You see the drive behind the decision. Say it internally. You see the drive behind the decision. This is identity escalation. You are no longer reading gestures only. You are decoding motivation. Old you reacted to behavior. New you interprets it. Old you saw resistance. New you sees protection. Old you saw arrogance. New you sees a need for recognition. Old you saw silence. New you sees fear of exclusion. Feel the power in that shift. Keep going. Look deeper. Don't assume. Rapid escalation. Keep going. Look deeper. Don't assume. Let those lines sharpen your discipline. Motivation is rarely what it appears. Someone who demands control may be afraid of chaos. Someone who withdraws may be protecting dignity. Someone who argues strongly may fear irrelevance. If you assume surface intent, you miscalculate. If you look deeper, you lead accurately. Return to the negotiation. You identify that one party is driven by recognition. Their voice strengthens when contributions are acknowledged. Their posture relaxes when their expertise is referenced. You adapt. You highlight their value openly. You integrate their suggestions visibly. You allow them to maintain influence within the solution. Resistance softens, not because you manipulated, because you understood. Second transformation peak. You realize something profound. Conflict often dissolves when needs are acknowledged. Keep going. Look deeper. Don't assume. Feel the momentum building. You are no longer navigating blindly. You are tracing the emotional engine behind behavior. Power, security, recognition, belonging. These needs appear everywhere. In business, in leadership, in personal relationships, in teams, in partnerships. Imagine entering any high-stakes discussion with this awareness. You scan for signal. Who seeks authority? Who seeks reassurance? Who seeks appreciation? Who seeks inclusion? You adjust strategically, not to surrender, but to align. Alignment is stronger than force. When you address security, fear decreases. When you address recognition, pride aligns. When you address belonging, resistance softens. When you address power respectfully, direction becomes clearer. You are becoming someone who sees beyond argument. You are becoming someone who reads motive before conflict escalates. You see the drive behind the decision. Repeat it again. You see the drive behind the decision. Tension in the negotiation dissolves gradually. Terms adjust. Tones soften. Agreement forms not through pressure but through understanding. This is advanced leadership. You do not win by overpowering. You win by aligning motivation. Old you may have thought influence required dominance. New you understands influence requires clarity. Ask internally, what do they want? What are they protecting? What are they afraid of? Let it guide every conversation. When someone resists feedback, perhaps they protect recognition. When someone avoids commitment, perhaps they protect security. When someone overasserts authority, perhaps they protect power. When someone avoids confrontation, perhaps they protect belonging. Understanding removes frustration. Understanding replaces assumption with strategy. Keep going. Look deeper. Don't assume. Rapid repetition strengthens your discipline. Keep going. Look deeper. Don't assume. You are now operating at a deeper layer of awareness. Behavior is surface. Motivation is structure. Structure determines outcome. Imagine your future self navigating complex decisions effortlessly. You enter conversations with calm, scanning awareness. You identify needs quickly. You respond precisely. You prevent escalation before it begins. You feel grounded because you understand what moves people. You are no longer confused by contradictions. You decode them. You are no longer surprised by sudden shifts. You anticipate them. Every behavior serves a need. This truth reshapes how you lead. You see the drive behind the decision. And as this awareness deepens, you will begin to sense the insecurities and strengths that shape those motivations, revealing even more about the people around you before they ever explain themselves. Chapter 6. Detecting Insecurity and Confidence. Confidence has structure. Insecurity has tells. They may look similar at first glance. Both can speak loudly. Both can stand tall. Both can command attention. But one is steady. The other is compensating. Your task is to see the difference, not to judge, not to criticize, but to understand. Imagine polished glass, smooth, reflective, impressive. From a distance it appears flawless, but under pressure small cracks begin to form, tiny fractures beneath the surface, almost invisible unless you know where to look. Insecurity is like those cracks in polished glass. Confidence, on the other hand, is reinforced structure. It does not need decoration. It does not need excessive shine. It remains stable even when pressure increases. Listen beyond volume. Measure consistency. Trust patterns. Those three commands will protect you from being misled by surface energy. Picture a powerful room. Senior leaders, strong personalities, quick thinkers. Everyone speaks with certainty. The atmosphere feels intense. Old you might feel intimidated. Old you might mistake loudness for strength. Old you might assume that the most dominant voice holds the most stable ground. New you observes. New you measures. New you listens beyond volume. Confidence does not require constant validation. It does not rush to fill silence. It does not interrupt repeatedly. It does not inflate minor achievements. Insecurity often does. Overcompensation behaviors reveal themselves under pressure. A person speaks excessively about their accomplishments without being asked. They interrupt frequently. They dismiss others quickly. They laugh too loudly at their own points. They become defensive over small challenges. These are cracks in polished glass. Stay calm. Do not confront the crack. Observe it. Measure consistency. True confidence remains steady across situations. The tone is balanced. The pace is controlled. The message is clear. There is no sudden shift when questioned. Insecurity fluctuates. Watch what happens when their idea is challenged. Does their tone spike? Does their posture stiffen? Does their breathing accelerate? Do they redirect blame quickly? Listen beyond volume. Someone may speak quietly and carry immense confidence. Their sentences are concise. Their eye contact steady. Their body relaxed. They do not over-explain. Confidence is comfortable with silence. Insecurity fears it. Notice who can pause without tension. Notice who allows others to finish speaking. Notice who remains composed when attention shifts all. I from them. These are signals. Emotional rise begins here. You start seeing cracks that others miss. You begin recognizing overcompensation patterns clearly. You realize how often volume masks uncertainty. You feel the temptation to react differently now that you see more. Stay steady. Measure consistency. Trust patterns. Do not form conclusions from single moments. Insecurity may appear temporarily in anyone under pressure. Confidence may waver briefly in unfamiliar situations. Patterns reveal truth. Observe across time, across topics, across emotional intensity. In a high-stakes discussion, someone presents with strong authority. Their voice is firm, their posture rigid, their arguments sharp. At first, it feels like confidence. Then a small challenge appears. Their response shifts. Their voice becomes sharper. Their words become longer. They repeat themselves. They redirect responsibility. Cracks, not weakness, not failure, but insecurity surfacing under pressure. Old, you might react emotionally to this shift. You might feel threatened, or you might withdraw. New, you remains calm. Say it internally. I remain calm. Again, I remain calm. Confidence within you must not be shaken by insecurity in others. Emotional relief enters here. You realize something powerful. When you can detect insecurity early, you stop taking reactions personally. You stop interpreting sharpness as attack. You stop mistaking defensiveness for strength. You understand it as protection. Overcompensation often appears as excessive certainty without openness, dominance without listening, volume without clarity, aggression without necessity. These are signs. Now consider genuine confidence. Genuine confidence asks questions. Genuine confidence adjusts when presented with new data. Genuine confidence listens fully. Genuine confidence remains consistent in tone. It does not need to prove itself repeatedly. It simply is. Picture another powerful room. Executives discussing strategy. One person speaks calmly, their posture relaxed, their sentences clear and precise. When challenged, they nod slightly. They respond thoughtfully. They admit uncertainty where appropriate. No cracks. Structure reinforced. This is confidence. Imagine staying unshaken in powerful room. Imagine hearing loud voices and not shrinking. Imagine witnessing dominance displays and not being intimidated. Imagine responding steadily because you understand what is happening beneath the surface. You measure consistency. You trust patterns. You listen beyond volume. Emotional tension rises again when you realize how often insecurity drives behavior. Leaders over-asserting, colleagues over-explaining, negotiators over-threatening. You now see it, but with awareness comes responsibility. You must not exploit cracks. You must manage them. When you sense insecurity, reduce threat. Slow your pace. Acknowledge contribution. Offer clarity without confrontation. When you sense genuine confidence, engage directly. Challenge respectfully. Move forward decisively. This is advanced perception. Old, you tried to compete with loudness. New, you study stability. Old, you reacted to tone. New, you observes consistency. Old, you chased validation. New, you remains grounded. I remain calm. Repeat it internally. I remain calm. Feel the strength in that affirmation. Confidence within you grows as you detach from external displays. You no longer measure your worth against volume or dominance. You measure by steadiness. Cracks in polished glass become obvious when pressure increases. Watch reactions during stress. Observe tone during disagreement. Notice posture during criticism. Pressure reveals structure. Confidence maintains alignment between words and body. Insecurity creates misalignment. Listen for contradictions. Strong claims followed by defensive gesture. Assured statements followed by tightened shoulder. Confident tone followed by rushed breathing. Trust patterns. You are training your nervous system not to be shaken by strong personality. You are building emotional immunity. Imagine your future self entering negotiations where voices rise and stakes are high. Others push. Others posture. Others attempt to dominate. You remain calm. You see the cracks. You respond strategically. Your steadiness influences the room more than any volume ever could. Emotional relief settles deeper now. You no longer fear intensity. You understand it. You are not impressed by surface shine. You look for structure. Listen beyond volume. Measure consistency. Trust patterns. Let the rhythm strengthen your awareness. Confidence has structure. Insecurity has tells. You will see both everywhere. In leaders, in competitors, in allies, in yourself. Yes, even in yourself. Awareness does not exclude self-reflection. Notice when you feel tempted to over-explain. Notice when you feel compelled to dominate a conversation. Notice when you rush to defend small critiques. Those are cracks forming. Do not judge them. Strengthen structure instead. Pause. Breathe. Respond deliberately. I remain calm. Say it again. I remain calm. Imagine walking into environments filled with authority figures. Imagine maintaining eye contact comfortably. Imagine speaking clearly without overcompensation. Imagine listening fully without fear of being overshadowed. That is internal confidence. It does not shout. It does not posture. It does not panic. It stands, and as you continue sharpening your perception, you will begin to see how influence grows not from dominance, but from disciplined emotional control that others naturally respect. Chapter 7. Influence without manipulation. True influence begins with understanding, not pressure, not force, not control. You do not control people. You align with psychology. This is where your perception matures into leadership. Influence is often misunderstood. Many believe it requires dominant, strong arguments, loud certainty, strategic persuasion that corners others into agreement. That is not influence. That is pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Understand, creates alignment. Feel the difference. When you understand someone's motivation, emotional state, and behavioral patterns, you no longer need to push. You adjust, you connect, you guide. You are not overpowering, you are aligning. Old you may have believed influence required convincing. Old you may have tried to win debates. Old you may have measured success by how often others accepted your ideas. New you measures influence differently. New you asks, did alignment occur? Did clarity increase? Did resistance soften naturally? You do not control people. You align with psychology. This is subtle power. Mirroring is one of your first tools. Not imitation, not mimicry. Alignment. When someone speaks slowly, you slow slightly. When someone maintains calm posture, you reflect steadiness. When someone leans forward with focus, you engage attentively. You are signaling familiarity without words. Humans trust what feels familiar. Mirroring creates comfort. Comfort reduces resistance. But this must be natural. Slow your breathing. Before you influence anyone, stabilize yourself. If your breathing is rushed, your energy feels pressured. If your posture is tense, your presence feels demanding. Slow your breathing. Let calm anchor you. Match energy. If someone speaks quietly and thoughtfully, you do not overwhelm them with intensity. If someone communicates with strong momentum, you meet them with grounded strength, not passivity. Energy matching is not surrender. It is calibration. Then lead gently. After alignment, you shift direction slowly. You adjust tone. You introduce perspective. You guide the conversation toward clarity. Influence flows from connection. Connection begins with understanding. Picture a conversation where disagreement exists. The other person holds a firm opinion. Their voice is steady. Their posture confident. Their belief structured. Old you might have countered immediately. You might have listed opposing facts. You might have attempted to dismantle their position directly. New you aligns first. You mirror their calm tone. You acknowledge their reasoning. You validate the structure of their thought. You create psychological safety. Then you introduce one new angle, one reframed idea, one additional perspective. No force, just direction. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. Say it internally. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. Feel that identity solidify. Influence without manipulation requires integrity. You are not deceived. You are not exploiting weaknesses. You are aligning behavior with human psychology. People resist being controlled. They respond to being understood. Consider pacing. Pacing means meeting someone where they are emotionally before inviting them forward. If someone is skeptical, you acknowledge uncertainty. If someone is excited, you channel enthusiasm constructively. If someone is cautious, you provide clarity. You do not drag. You walk beside. Slow your breathing. Match energy. Lead gently. These commands shape your present. The midpoint shift in you begins here. Old you sought validation. Old you pushed harder when faced with resistance. Old you believed that strong influence required intensity. New you understands that strength is quiet. New you senses when to pause, when to listen, when to introduce a shift. New you sees influence as responsibility. Picture a team discussion. One member appears disengaged, arms crossed, eyes distant, words minimal. Old you might interpret this as defiance or disinterest. New you asks, what is the emotional state? What is the need? What is the resistance rooted in? You align first. You lower intensity. You ask a focused question. You invite contribution respectfully. Energy shifts because you matched before you led. Mirroring builds rapport. Pacing builds trust. Calibrated response builds direction. Calibrated response means adjusting your tone, speed, and intensity based on feedback signal. If someone becomes overwhelmed, you slow. If someone disengages, you re-engage with clarity. If someone grows defensive, you soften approach without abandoning purpose. This is advanced leadership. You are no longer reacting to resistance. You are anticipating it. You are no longer imposing ideas. You are guiding perspectives. Influence without manipulation preserves dignity on both sides. It protects autonomy. It strengthens alignment. Slow your breathing. Match energy. Lead gently. Repeat them mentally. Slow your breathing. Match energy. Lead gently. Emotional tension rises as you realize how much power exists in subtle adjustment. You no longer need to win arguments loudly. You no longer need to prove dominance. You no longer need to compete for control. You guide, and guiding feels different. It feels calm. It feels precise. It feels grounded. Imagine walking into negotiations where others attempt to push aggressively. Instead of escalating, you stabilize. Instead of defending emotionally, you align strategically. Instead of overpowering, you redirect. Resistance decreases because people feel seen, and people follow those who understand them. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. Say it again. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. The identity shift deepens. Influence now becomes natural, not forced. Picture yourself in conversations that once intimidated senior leaders, strong personalities, competitive environment. You observe first. You align energy. You introduce direction gradually. You sense microshifts in tone. You adjust accordingly. You maintain steadiness even when intensity rises. This is not manipulation. Manipulation seeks advantage at another's expense. Influence seeks alignment toward shared progress. The difference is intention. When your intention is clarity and progress, your methods remain ethical. Slow your breathing. Match energy. Lead gently. The emotional rhythm settles into relief. You realize you do not need to overpower anyone to lead effectively. You do not need to dominate to influence. You need to understand. Understanding becomes your leverage. Leverage becomes your calm strength. You versus your old self reaches clarity. Old you pushed. New you guides. Old you reacted. New you calibrates. Old you tried to control outcomes. New you aligns people with outcomes. This is maturity. This is leadership. Imagine your future self guiding complex teams with subtle precision. Conversations move smoothly because you align first. Resistance fades because you respect emotional states. Decisions progress because trust forms quickly. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. Feel the certainty in that statement. It changes how you enter rooms. It changes how you listen. It changes how you speak. You are aware of your breathing. You are aware of energy levels. You are aware of shifts in posture and tone. You adjust in real time, and people respond because influence without manipulation feels safe. It feels respectful. It feels steady. Slow your breathing. Match energy. Lead gently. Let those commands anchor your practice. As this skill strengthens, you will notice something powerful. The more you guide gently, the more others move willingly. The less you force, the more alignment grows. And as you continue forward, your awareness will expand beyond individuals into group dynamics, where influence operates on a larger scale and subtle observation becomes even more critical. Chapter 8. Reading group dynamics instantly. Groups reveal hierarchy quickly, not through titles, not through introductions, not through seating charts. Hierarchy reveals itself through behavior. When individuals gather, patterns form immediately. Influence circulates, authority shifts, alliances appear, resistance organizes, silence speaks. If you can read a group instantly, you gain strategic clarity before the first major decision is made. This is chessboard awareness, not checkers. Chess. Every piece has movement. Every piece has limitation. Every piece has power in specific position, but only the observer above the board sees the whole pattern. You must become that observer. Scan the room before speaking, before reacting, before choosing your position. Scan the room. Notice who speaks first. Notice who interrupts. Notice who remains quiet yet is repeatedly glanced at by others. Notice who nods consistently. Notice who rarely reacts. Hierarchy is not always loud. Sometimes it is silent. Sometimes the loudest person is not the most influential. Sometimes the quietest person holds the weight. Old you may have focused only on the dominant voice. Old you may have assumed authority equals influence. New you studies the board. In a meeting of 8 people, observe the rhythm. One person proposes ideas confidently, another challenges quickly, a third remains silent, but when they finally speak, everyone turns slightly. There it is. Notice who others watch. Human beings instinctively look toward influence during uncertainty. When tension rises, eyes move. Heads turn subtly. Bodies shift toward the person perceived as central. That is power. Scan the room. Identify alliances. You will see micro-alignments forming. 2 individuals exchange glances when certain topics arise. One leans toward another during disagreement. Subtle nods confirm alignment without words. Alliances often reveal future voting patterns. They reveal where resistance may consolidate. They reveal where support may strengthen. Notice who others watch. Notice who others avoid. Notice who controls pace. Hierarchy is visible in timing. Who speaks after whom, who waits, who responds immediately, who hesitates. Chessboard awareness means stepping back mentally. Instead of being absorbed into conversation immediately, you observe structure. Old you entered discussions focused on your own contribution. New you enters focused on structure. You are not trying to dominate the board. You are mapping it. Groups reveal hierarchy quickly. A leader may not entrod, use themselves as leader. They may sit slightly back, speak sparingly, yet their words carry weight. When they nod, others follow. When they frown, the room adjusts. Silent influencers are often underestimated. The one who rarely speaks but whose opinion shapes final decision. The one others consult privately before consensus. The one who reframes arguments subtly, without raising volume. You must see them. Scan the room. Identify alliances. Notice who others watch. This rhythm must anchor your behavior in group setting. Emotional tension rises when discussion intensifies. Voices overlap. Opinions clash. Energy spikes. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. Transformation peak 3 begins here. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. Let the repetition sharpen you. Groups become chaotic when multiple hierarchies compete. Dominant voices push. Challengers confront. Silent influencers observe. Uncertain members wait for direction. If you remain unaware, you will react to noise. If you remain composed, you will guide structure. Stay alert. Do not be distracted by volume. Volume is surface. Influence is structural. Stay composed. Your posture steady. Your breathing controlled. Your eyes scanning without tension. Lead now. Leadership in groups is often not about speaking first. It is about speaking at the right moment. After patterns reveal themselves. Imagine a boardroom discussion escalating. 2 strong personalities argue opposing views. The energy becomes polarized. Others grow silent. Old you might choose a side quickly, or withdraw to avoid conflict. New you scans first. Who is aligning with whom? Who appears uncomfortable? Who is waiting for stabilization? You notice that while 2 individuals argue loudly, 3 others exchange subtle glances. They are not convinced by either side. They are waiting for clarity. There is your opening. You step in calmly. You acknowledge both positions. You validate concerns. Then you introduce synthesis. The room shifts because you read the board before moving. Chessboard awareness. Think of each participant as a piece with movement pattern. The challenger moves diagonally, cutting across ideas. The dominant speaker moves forward aggressively. The silent influencer moves strategically, rarely but effectively. The uncertain member moves only when supported. If you understand movement, you anticipate outcome. Scan the room. Identify alliances. Notice who others watch. This awareness gives you confidence. Imagine entering any boardroom confidently, not because you know every answer, but because you trust your ability to read structure. You do not need to control everyone. You need to understand positioning. Groups reveal hierarchy through attention. Who commands it naturally, who loses it quickly, who redirects it skillfully. Observe how conversations redirect. When someone speaks, Do others respond directly or shift attention elsewhere? That redirection reveals perceived authority. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. Emotional rise intensifies as you realize how much information is available in group behavior. You begin seeing micro-expressions of alignment. You notice who subtly mirrors whom. You detect who defers to whom during uncertainty. This is advanced awareness. Old you may have felt overwhelmed in group dynamics. Too many voices, too many reactions, too many layers. New you see structure. Old you focused on defending your perspective. New you focuses on reading positioning. Old you reacted to opposition emotionally. New you anticipates opposition strategically. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. The repetition strengthens internal readiness. When tension rises, others look for stability. If you remain steady, you become reference. If you speak calmly while others escalate, your words gain weight. Leadership in groups is often awarded to the one who stabilizes chaos. Imagine a high-stakes presentation. Stakeholders present, questions rapid, pressure visible. You scan quickly. Identify who holds final authority. Identify who influences that authority quietly. Identify who challenges reflexively. You adjust your communication accordingly. When responding to the challenger, you remain precise. When speaking to the authority figure, you emphasize outcome alignment. When addressing the silent influencer, you acknowledge their expertise subtly. The room shifts in your favor because you map the board. Scan the room. Identify alliances. Notice who others watch. Future pacing expands here. Imagine walking into any boardroom with grounded confidence. You are not intimidated by numbers. You are not distracted by personalities. You are not overwhelmed by complexity. You observe. You align. You lead. You know that hierarchy forms quickly, but it also shifts. Influence can change mid-conversation. Stay attentive. Stay adaptive. If a challenger gains support from others, recalibrate. If a silent member suddenly speaks and gains attention, adjust your focus. If alliances fracture, recognize opportunity. Chessboard awareness requires flexibility. You are not fixed to one plan. You respond to structure in real time. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. Transformation settles into empowerment. You are no longer intimidated by group dynamics. You are energized by them. You understand that beneath every loud discussion lies structure. Beneath every chaotic exchange lies positioning. Beneath every disagreement lies alignment waiting to be shaped. You are capable. You are perceptive. You are steady. Imagine stepping into rooms that once felt overwhelming and now feeling clarity instead. You scan within seconds. You sense alliances. You detect influence line. You know when to speak and when to wait. Confidence grows not from dominance, but from awareness. Groups reveal hierarchy quickly, and now so do you. Scan the room. Identify alliances. Notice who others watch. Stay alert. Stay composed. Lead now. And as you continue refining this skill, you will begin mastering silence within groups, discovering that sometimes the most powerful move is not speaking at all, but letting silence expose the truth. Chapter 9. Mastering Silence and Strategic Observation. Silence reveals truth, not the awkward silence people rush to escape, not the empty pause between sentences, the intentional silence, the deliberate stillness that invites reality to surface. Most people fear silence. They fill it quickly. They rush to clarify. They hurry to soften tension. They speak to regain comfort. You will not. You will master silence, because silence exposes what noise hides. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. These commands will transform how you lead. In conversation, words are shields. They protect, they distract, they justify. Silence removes shields, it creates space. In that space, truth emerges. Imagine a negotiation where terms are unclear. You ask a precise question. The response is vague. Instead of rephrasing immediately, instead of rescuing the conversation, you pause. You hold eye contact calmly. You breathe steadily. You wait. Silence stretches. In that stretch, the other person feels pressure, not from you, but from their own incomplete answer. They expand. They clarify. They reveal more than they intended. Silence revealed truth. Old you might have filled that gap. Old you might have softened tension with reassurance. Old you might have spoken to protect comfort. New you understands the power of deliberate pause. You are not being rude. You are being strategic. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. Discomfort is information. When someone shifts in their seat after a question, that movement speaks. When their eyes glance downward before answering, that hesitation signals thought conflict. When their breathing changes under silence, that shift carries data. Silence magnifies microsignal. The deliberate pause strategy requires emotional strength because silence can feel intense. It can feel confrontational. It can feel uncertain. You must remain grounded. I choose control. Say it internally. I choose control. Control of your pace. Control of your reactions. Control of your voice. In high-stakes conversations, silence creates leverage, not through intimidation, through clarity. Imagine you present a proposal. You finish your sentence. Instead of rushing to justify, you stop. You let the room absorb. You observe faces. You notice who leans forward, who crosses arms, who avoids eye contact. The silence becomes a mirror. People reveal themselves in what they do when nothing is said. Emotional pacing intensifies. You feel the urge to speak, the impulse to defend, the instinct to fill space. Do not pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. Silence often prompts honesty. When someone overstates confidence, silence tests it. When someone claims certainty, silence invites elaboration. When someone hesitates, silence exposes the hesitation. You are becoming patient, powerful. Repeat it. You are becoming patient, powerful. Patience is not passivity, it is discipline. Power is not dominance, it is restraint. Strategic observation grows stronger in silence. Without speaking, you gather information. Without reacting, you read patterns. Without interrupting, you hear what others truly prioritize. In group settings, silence can shift hierarchy. When tension rises and voices compete, you remain quiet. Others notice. They sense steadiness. They begin looking toward you, not because you spoke, because you did not. Silence commands attention when used intentionally. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. A difficult conversation unfolds. A colleague avoids accountability. Their answers circle the issue. You ask directly, what prevented this from being completed? They respond vaguely. You pause. You hold the silence. Their discomfort increases. Shoulders tighten. Eyes move. Words stumble, then the real reason surfaces. Silence revealed truth. Old you might have accepted the first answer. Old you have softened the question. Old you might have redirected quickly to avoid awkwardness. New you understands that discomfort is not danger. It is information. Silence separates clarity from performance. When someone truly believes their position, silence strengthens them. They remain calm. They elaborate steadily. They hold posture. When someone hides insecurity, silence exposes cracks. I choose control. Say it again. I choose control. The emotional rhythm rises as you recognize the depth of this skill. You realize how often conversations are manipulated by speed. The faster the exchange, the less reflection. The less reflection, the more surface responses dominate. By slowing pace, you increase depth. By increasing depth, you increase truth. In leadership, this is invaluable. Imagine a boardroom where a critical decision hangs unresolved. Opinions clash, data conflicts, energy spikes. You listen carefully, then you ask one focused question. You pause. Silence fills the room. People shift, they reflect, they reconsider. The noise lowers. In that silence, insight forms. You are becoming patient, powerful. Silence also strengthens your emotional control. When someone challenges you sharply, silence prevents reactive defense. When someone provokes emotionally, silence shields your composure. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. This command applies to yourself as well. When you feel anger rising, pause. When you feel anxiety building, pause. When you feel urgency pushing you to speak too quickly, pause. Silence within creates clarity without. Strategic observation deepens here. You begin noticing subtle timing pattern. Who rushes to fill silence? Who avoids eye contact during pauses? Who uses humor to escape discomfort? Who remains steady? Silence amplifies behavior. You are not silent to intimidate. You are silent to observe. Old you may have feared being perceived as weak when quiet. Old you may have equated silence with uncertainty. New you knows that silence can project strength. Confidence does not need constant words. Silence signals composure. I choose control. Repeat it softly. I choose control. Imagine entering conversations where others attempt to rush you. They speak quickly. They pressure for immediate answers. They create urgency. You slow down. You respond after reflection. You pause before committing. Their urgency loses force because you did not match it. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. The deliberate pause strategy works in negotiations, leadership discussions, interviews, and conflict resolution. It creates room for authenticity. When people feel silence themselves, they reveal priorities. They reveal concerns. They reveal truth. In personal interactions, silence can invite depth. Ask a meaningful question. Pause, allow space. Resist interrupting. You will hear what matters most to them. You are becoming patient, powerful. This identity shift deepens now. You are no longer driven by urgency. You are no longer controlled by conversational pressure. You choose your timing. You choose your response. You choose control. Emotional intensity rises as you practice holding silence in tense situations. It feels uncomfortable at first. Your instincts urge you to speak, to reassure, to soften. Stay steady. Silence is not cruelty. Silence is clarity. In group dynamics, silence can reset chaos. When multiple voices compete, you remain quiet until attention naturally returns. Then you speak with measured calm. Your words carry weight because they follow silence. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You become comfortable in quiet spaces. You become confident in stillness. Others sense this. They begin respecting your pauses. They begin waiting for your perspective. You no longer chase attention. Attention moves toward you. Imagine your future self in high-pressure negotiations. You ask one precise question. You pause. The other party expands. They reveal hidden concerns. They clarify motivation. You adjust accordingly. Silence gave you leverage. Silence gave you information. Silence gave you advantage without aggression. You are becoming patient, powerful. Say it again. You are becoming patient, powerful. Strategic observation in silence also strengthens your emotional intelligence. You begin noticing not only discomfort but relief, not only tension but alignment, not only hesitation but confidence. Silence is a magnifier. It enlarges truth. I choose control. Let the affirmation anchor you. When emotions rise around you, you remain grounded. When voices escalate, you lower yours. When urgency increases, you slow down. Pause. Let them speak. Watch discomfort. The deliberate pause strategy is not about winning arguments. It is about uncovering reality. Reality informs strategy. Strategy informs leadership. You are no longer reacting to noise. You are guiding through clarity. As silence becomes your ally, your perception sharpens further. And soon, you will integrate every skill you have built. Perception, motivation recognition, hierarchy mapping, emotional awareness, into decisive intelligence that shapes outcomes before others even realize they are forming. Chapter 10. Rapid Decision Intelligence. Perception sharpens decision speed. Speed without awareness is recklessness. Awareness without action is hesitation. Rapid decision intelligence is the union of both. You have trained your perception. You have learned to read emotional signals, group dynamics, motivation, insecurity, silence. Now those skills converge into something powerful. Clarity under pressure. A warrior who survives does not wait for the strike to land. A warrior sees patterns before attack. The shift in stance, the tightening of grip, the slight repositioning of weight. The attack is visible before it begins. That is rapid decision intelligence. Not rushing, seeing early, responding precisely. Imagine standing in a high-pressure room. Deadlines tight, stakes high, voices competing, data conflicting, energy rising. Old you might have felt overwhelmed. Too much input, too many variables, too much emotion. New you processes calmly. You see patterns, you see alliances, you detect insecurity, you sense hidden motivation. You read silence. Your mind connects signals instantly. Perception sharpens decision speed. Because when you understand what is happening beneath the surface, you do not waste time guessing. You decide. Move, trust your training. These commands now become operational. Decide, not impulsively, decisively. Move, not aggressively, intentionally. Trust your training, not blindly, confidently. Rapid decision intelligence emerges from accumulated awareness. Each chapter before this prepared you for this moment. You recognize fear in a stakeholder's tone. You adjust messaging. You detect insecurity in a competitor's overconfidence. You remain steady. You sense alliance formation in a group. You reposition strategically. Your decisions become faster because your perception eliminates confusion. Clarity removes delay. Delay often comes from uncertainty, from not knowing what is truly driving behavior, from misreading tension, from overanalyzing surface noise. You no longer analyze noise. You interpret structure. The warrior who sees patterns before attack does not panic. They act at the precise moment. Imagine a negotiation reaching its tipping point. Silence lingers after a key proposal. You sense hesitation but also openness. You read posture alignment shifting subtly toward acceptance. Old you might wait too long. New you acts. You reinforce value. You ask for commitment. You close decisively because you saw the pattern forming. Decide. Move. Trust your training. Emotional intensity builds. The room feels charged. Pressure increases. Someone challenges your position publicly. Tone sharp. Energy confrontational. Old you might shrink. Old you might defend aggressively. New you remains grounded. You recognize the challenger's motivation. Perhaps they seek recognition. Perhaps they protect authority. Perhaps they fear irrelevance. You respond strategically. Your decision to speak calmly shifts the room. Your decision to pause disrupts escalation. Your decision to reframe aligns attention. Rapid decision intelligence is not about speed alone. It is about timing. Timing is awareness in motion. You do not hesitate because you trust your perception. You do not shrink because you understand the structure. You do not freeze because you have seen patterns before. Transformation peak 4 rises. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. Feel the intensity. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. This is where many falter. Pressure tempts hesitation. Conflict tempts retreat. Risk tempts caution disguised as delay. But you have trained. You have built perception. You have strengthened emotional control. You have sharpened awareness. Trust your training. Rapid decision intelligence means acting when clarity appears. Clarity often appears in brief windows. A shift in tone, a change in posture, a moment of silence that signals openness. If you hesitate, the window closes. If you move decisively, momentum builds. Decide. Move. Trust your training. Imagine entering a boardroom where uncertainty hangs heavily. Data incomplete. Opinions divided. Everyone waiting for direction. You scan quickly. You identify core concerns. You recognize who holds influence. You sense the emotional temperature. You speak with clarity. You outline direction. You assign next steps. The room stabilizes, not because you knew everything, because you saw enough. The warrior who sees patterns before attack does not require perfect information. They require accurate perception. Rapid decision intelligence thrives on informed intuition. Informed intuition is perception processed quickly. Old you may have doubted your instincts, questioned yourself repeatedly, sought excessive reassurance. New you respect. CTS, your pattern recognition. You have observed enough. You have trained enough. You have read enough. Decide. Move. Trust your training. Emotional peak intensifies again. A critical opportunity emerges unexpectedly. Limited time, high reward, high risk. Others hesitate. You assess rapidly. Motivation aligned. Risk manageable. Support structure stable. Yes, you move. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. Leadership is often determined in moments of compressed time. The one who sees clearly and acts calmly gains momentum. Rapid decision intelligence does not mean rushing recklessly. It means recognizing when delay adds no value. Ask yourself, do I have sufficient clarity? If yes, act. If not, gather one critical piece of information quickly, then act. Speed with awareness. Power with control. Imagine staying composed during crisis. Information incomplete. Emotions heightened. Pressure intense. You pause briefly. You breathe. You recall patterns. You assess structure. You decide. Others feel your certainty because certainty rooted in awareness feels stable. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. Let the rhythm push you. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. Feel the surge of capability. You are not reckless. You are ready. Rapid decision intelligence also requires letting go of perfectionism. Perfection delays action. Action creates momentum. Perception reduces error, but action creates progress. You decide. You move. You adjust if necessary. Adjustment is not failure. It is refinement. The warrior who sees patterns before attack also adapts mid-motion. Flexibility combined with decisiveness creates dominance. Imagine your future self navigating complex environments effortlessly. Decisions come naturally. Timing feels intuitive. Others look to you for direction, not because you speak loudly, because you act clearly. Emotional release begins to settle. You realize something powerful. You no longer fear decision-making. You trust your perception. You trust your awareness. You trust your training. Decide. Move. Trust your training. Feel the calm strength now. Rapid decision intelligence is not chaotic energy. It is disciplined action. It is perception activated. It is leadership expressed. You have integrated emotional reading, motivational decoding, group dynamics mapping, silence mastery. Now those skills operate together. You are no longer reacting to events. You are shaping them. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. Say it internally. Don't hesitate. Don't shrink. Lead forward. The emotional wave crests and then softens. Clarity replaces tension. Confidence replaces doubt. You understand that speed without awareness is dangerous, but awareness with speed is powerful. You are that balance. And as your decisiveness strengthens, you begin operating at a level where awareness becomes instinct, where perception requires no effort, and where your presence alone signals clarity before you even speak. Chapter 11. Becoming unpredictably aware. Awareness becomes instinct. At first you had to remind yourself. Observe. Slow down. Look again. You practiced reading posture. You practiced sensing tension. You practiced holding silence. You practiced mapping group dynamics. It required effort. Now something shifts. You no longer try. You notice automatically. The room changes, and you feel it before you think it. A tone sharpens slightly, and your mind registers the shift without conscious instruction. An alliance forms quietly across the table, and you detect it in the angle of two bodies leaning subtly toward each other. Awareness is no longer a task. It is reflex. This is the evolution. Old you reacted first and reflected later. New you sees first and responds with intention. See, process, respond. Let the rhythm settle into you. See, the eyes notice micro-movement. The body senses emotional currents. The mind registers hierarchy patterns instantly. Process, you interpret quickly. Motivation, fear, insecurity, ambition, alignment, resistance. Respond, you act with timing, not rushed, not delayed, precise. You are the calm mind in chaos. Say it internally. You are the calm mind in chaos. There was a time when chaos pulled you in. Raised voices increased your pulse. Disagreement tightened your chest. Urgency scattered your thoughts. Now chaos sharpens you. You remain centered. Picture a high-pressure meeting spiraling into conflict. Voices overlap. Frustration surfaces. Deadlines loom. Energy spikes. Old you might have felt swept away. New you stand steady internally. See, you notice who escalates for recognition, who withdraws to protect security, who challenges to maintain influence, who watches silently for direction. Process, you map structure instantly. The dominant voice is masking insecurity. The silent member holds potential influence. The tension is not about the stated issue, but about authority. Respond, you lower your tone. You reframe the core objective. You ask a question that redirects attention. You shift energy without force. The room stabilizes because awareness has become instinct. You no longer calculate every move consciously. Your training has integrated into reflex. You are unpredictably aware. Unpredictable not because you are erratic, but because others cannot anticipate how deeply you see. They may assume you missed something. You did not. They may believe tension went unnoticed. It did not. They may think silence distracted you. It did not. See, process. respond. The rhythm strengthens your identity. Old you often doubted perception. You questioned instincts. You sought validation before acting. New you trust the integration of training. You do not need constant confirmation. You sense patterns and move accordingly. You are the calm mind in chaos. Repeated. You are the calm mind in chaos. Emotional intensity rises as you recognize how far you have come. You remember earlier chapter, the effort required to hold silence, the discipline required to observe without reacting, the challenge of resisting immediate defense. Now it feels natural. Someone interrupts you abruptly. You register their need for recognition. You allow them space. You reclaim the floor calmly later. Someone avoids eye contact during commitment. You sense hesitation. You address clarity before the issue grows. Someone overasserts authority publicly. You detect insecurity. You respond with composure, not challenge. See, process, respond. Awareness becomes layered. You notice not only individuals but shifts in collective energy. A group begins losing focus. Attention drifts subtly. Side conversations emerge. You feel it. You adjust. You bring clarity back without accusation. That is instinctual leadership. You no longer need to remind yourself to scan the room. You do it automatically. You no longer consciously instruct yourself to breathe slower under pressure. Your body regulates itself. You no longer rehearse strategies mid-conversation. You trust your preparation. You rise. Say it. I rise. Not above others. Above chaos. Above confusion. Above emotional noise. You versus your old self reaches resolution here. Old you sought control externally. New you maintains control internally. Old you feared unpredictability. New you thrives in it. Old you tried to appear confident. New you embody steadiness. There is relief in this stage. Relief from overthinking. Relief from constant self-doubt. Relief from reactive behavior. Awareness becomes instinct. Imagine walking into any room without anxiety about unknown dynamics. You trust your ability to read structure instantly. You trust your ability to detect tension early. You trust your ability to guide conversations smoothly. You are no longer guessing. You are operating. See, process, respond. Let the words settle like steady breath. A crisis emerges unexpectedly. Information incomplete. Emotions elevated. Pressure intense. You feel the surge. Then calm. Your mind scans patterns quickly. Who is panicking? Who is withdrawing? Who is waiting? Who is positioning? You adjust tone accordingly. You stabilize the loudest voice. You invite the quietest voice. You clarify direction. You are the calm mind in chaos. Others may not understand how you remain steady. They may assume you are unaffected. You are affected. You are aware. But awareness no longer overwhelms you. It guides you. Rapid rhythm builds again. See, process, respond. See, process, respond. The repetition reinforces automaticity. Awareness also becomes internal. You notice your own emotional shifts. You detect subtle tension rising within. You pause before it influences your tone. You choose response over reaction. You are not suppressing emotion. You are managing it. I rise. Say it again. I rise. You rise above impulsive reaction. You rise above fear of confrontation. You rise above intimidation. Confidence becomes quiet certainty. Silence becomes comfortable. Observation becomes natural. Decision becomes precise. Awareness becomes instinct. Imagine your future self navigating global environments, complex negotiations, cultural differences, varied personality. No matter the setting, you adapt quickly because human patterns remain consistent. You read energy shifts instantly. You detect alignment within seconds. You anticipate resistance before it surfaces. You are unpredictably aware. Others cannot predict how much you see, and that unpredictability becomes advantage. You are not loud. You are not flashy. You are steady. You are the calm mind in chaos. Let that identity settle fully. See, process, respond. You no longer need to think about the commands. They are embedded. Observe, pause, align, decide, lead, all integrated. I rise. Feel the strength in those two words. I rise. This is not elevation through dominance. It is elevation through discipline. Emotional release settles deeply now. You realize that awareness is no longer something you practice occasionally. It is who you are. In conversations, in meetings, in conflict, in opportunity, in silence, in noise, you are the calm mind in chaos. And as this instinct becomes permanent, you approach the final transformation, where awareness is no longer a skill you use but an identity you embody, shaping every room before anyone realizes you have already seen everything. Chapter 12. The leader who sees everything. Perception becomes leadership identity, not something you switch on, not something you practice occasionally, not something you remember only under pressure. It owns who you are. Everything integrates now. Observation, emotional awareness, motivation decoding, hierarchy mapping, silence mastery, rapid decision intelligence. All of it converges into one steady present. You no longer enter rooms wondering what will happen. You enter knowing you will see. And when you see, you lead. Stand firm, hold steady, see clearly, lead boldly. These are no longer commands you struggle to follow. They are the rhythm of your identity. There was a time when perception felt like effort, when reading people required conscious attention, when pausing in silence required discipline, when decisions under pressure required courage. Now it feels natural. You walk into a room and awareness activates instantly. You sense emotional temperature before greetings finish. You detect alliances before introductions conclude. You identify insecurity beneath confidence. You recognize ambition beneath hesitation. You see everything that matters, not because you are suspicious, because you are present. Perception has moved from skill to identity. You are the leader who sees everything. Feel the weight of that statement. It is not arrogance. It is responsibility. To see clearly means to act wisely. To recognize patterns means to guide ethically. To understand motivation means to align purposefully. You do not exploit weakness. You strengthen structure. Stand firm. There will always be noise, opinions, pressure, urgency, emotion, competing agenda. You stand firm within, firm in posture, firm in tone, firm in clarity. Hold steady. When others escalate, you stabilize. When tension rises, you slow the pace. When uncertainty spreads, you ground the room. Your steadiness becomes anchor. See clearly. Surface behavior no longer distracts you. Loudness does not intimidate you. Silence does not confuse you. Performance does not impress you. You look beneath. You read structure. You understand drive. Lead boldly. Bold leadership is not reckless force. It is confident direction grounded in awareness. When you speak now, you speak from clarity. When you decide from pattern recognition. When you pause with intention. High-intensity transformation. Peak 5 rises. Stand firm. Hold steady. See clearly. Lead boldly. Feel the surge. Stand firm. Hold steady. See clearly. Lead boldly. This is the culmination. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are shaping it. Rooms shift when you enter. Not because you demand attention, because your presence carries calm authority. Calm authority does not announce itself. It radiates. Imagine entering a high-stakes negotiation. The atmosphere tense. Stakeholders guarded. Stakes high. You scan. You detect emotional currents. You identify who seeks security, who seeks recognition, who seeks influence. You align your strategy accordingly. You speak with measured strength. The room listens, not because you are loud, because you are clear. Stand firm, hold steady, see clearly, lead boldly. Emotional intensity crests again. There is no more old self here. The reactive version of you has dissolved. The hesitant version has been replaced. The uncertain version has evolved. You no longer doubt your perception. You no longer shrink under pressure. You no longer rush out of discomfort. You see, you process, you respond, and you lead. Everything integrates. Silence becomes tool. Observation becomes instinct. Decision becomes fluid. Influence becomes natural. Hierarchy mapping becomes automatic. Motivation recognition becomes immediate. You are the leader who sees everything. Not every detail, but every pattern that matters. Relief begins to settle now, because clarity removes fear. Awareness removes confusion. Control removes anxiety. You are no longer overwhelmed by complex environments. You are energized by them. You are no longer threatened by powerful personalities. You understand them. You are no longer intimidated by conflict. You anticipate and guide it. Stand firm, hold steady, see clearly, lead boldly. Let the rhythm calm now. Calm authority replaces intensity. You do not need to prove this transformation. You live it. Imagine walking into your future, aware, composed, respected. A future where conversations unfold with precision because you sense direction early, where decisions are made with confidence because you recognize structure quickly, where relationships strengthen because you understand motivation deep. Imagine entering any boardroom without hesitation, any negotiation without fear, any discussion without confusion. You see clearly, you respond wisely, you guide boldly. Others may not understand how you maintain composure under pressure. They may not see the layers you perceive. They may not realize how quickly you read the room. That is not required. You know, you feel the difference inside. Calm authority does not shout. It does not compete. It does not panic. It stands, and when it speaks, it moves. Stand firm, hold steady, see clearly, lead boldly. These words are no longer instructions. They are confirmation. You have integrated perception into leadership identity. You are not learning awareness. You are embodying it. Pause, breathe, reflect on the journey from sensing something was off, to understanding micro-signal, to decoding motivation, to mapping group dynamics, to mastering silence, to deciding rapidly, to becoming instinctively aware. Now you stand complete, not finished, evolved. Imagine your future interactions shaped by this identity. Difficult conversations handled with calm precision. High-pressure decisions made with grounded clarity. Powerful personalities met with steady confidence. You do not dominate. You direct. You do not manipulate. You align. You do not react. You respond. Stand firm. Hold steady. See clearly. Lead boldly. The intensity fades into calm. You feel centered. You feel capable. You feel grounded. You are the leader who sees everything. And with that awareness comes choice. Choice in how you respond. Choice in how you guide. Choice in who you become. Final affirmation settles into you now. Say it clearly. I decide who I become. Again, I decide who I become. Not circumstances, not pressure, not personalities. You decide because you see clearly, because you remain steady, because you lead boldly. Imagine walking into your future, aware, composed, respected. You see the room before it sees you. You understand the structure before it unfolds. You act with clarity before confusion spreads. You are the calm authority others rely on. Stand firm, hold steady, see clearly, lead boldly. I decide who I become. And you move forward, no longer learning how to read the room, but becoming the one who defines it. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.